I've known for a very long time I'm a fusion between boy and girl. I'm just stressing about not being feminine enough.
Así en México somos muy machistas. No me dejes a mí ese paquete de decirles, oh, es que mi hijo es gay.
It'd be so much easier if I just accepted the identity that people saw me. Not having control over what your body is doing is really terrifying.
Good breath and then just speak.
My name.
Good.
I'm a trans woman now. My chosen name is Mares. I was born in Villanueva, Zacatecas, Mexico. I grew up here in Los Angeles. I identify as a trans femme Latina. 3 months ago, one of my trans girlfriends asked if I ever considered going on hormone replacement therapy and asked me if I wanted to borrow her testosterone blockers. And ever since she offered it, I couldn't stop thinking about it. I kind of leaned into it, and I was doing a lot of research and I was watching a lot of YouTube, and I was talking to a lot of people. Just hearing the similarities in trans women's experiences was really sobering and like awakening to me. I never really vibed with any men and boys, and whole growing up, I always had girlfriends and was kind of grossed out by what boys did. And so finally I called my sister up and I was like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. And she's like, I completely support you, but go see a doctor.
So your blood work is all in. Your levels are actually, just kind of normal. Testosterone 492, which, means we have to give you enough hormones to get that number down.
When this gender counselor, Kwana, asked me to recall instances of my childhood or growing up where I felt like I wasn't really male or masculine, it was a trip. Just how many examples I could think of. It was affirming to have a medical professional say oh, you checked off 2 out of 3 of the boxes. It was one of those first steps where I was like, oh, maybe I am trans, maybe this is something that I want to take on and claim and own.
What we talked about last time was to try the injectable estrogen, start with the 10 milligrams. Do you have any questions about any of those things?
No, but I had questions on additional stuff. The first one was about body hair electrolysis. Is that in my near future, is that a possibility?
I would definitely recommend that we wait until you've had some estrogen on board for a while.
I guess my last question is when do I go in and get that shot?
So you can go get that shot whenever you want to go in and get
Shut
that shot.
up! Thank you so much, Dr. Silverman. I really appreciate it.
Congratulations, good luck to you.
Thank you. That's so amazing. I just got approved for getting shots of estrogen every other week, 10 milligrams. So you have to be diagnosed, right, with gender dysphoria for you to move forward with transgender services, at least with Kaiser, right? So some of the questions they ask are, have you ever been unhappy with your genitalia or your chest? Has it ever brought discomfort up for you, right? I said no, I've never really thought about growing breasts or, having a large chest. And fast forward to, I think this was 3 days ago, I wake up and I look down at my chest, and the very first thought that I have in my day is, I hate you. Once I grow big enough breasts, I won't be able to kind of be fluid anymore, and people aren't gonna read me as male anymore. I'm not gonna have that safety blanket that I've been hiding under for so long. And one of my biggest fears and anxieties through this transition process has been losing my masculine privilege. I just finished shaving, and I have to say, after 5 years of not doing so, it was horrible. Just to give you a little visual about how much hair I had on my body. Yeah. There she is. Terrible. You know what really sucks is the fact that when I don't shave and I don't do my makeup, people misgender me a lot more. But I guess it's just inherent, right, in the way that we interpret gender. It's oh, facial hair and no makeup, that means it's a man. Growing breast or becoming more feminine or being read as more feminine is almost like a contract in the sense that I'm choosing to give away this male privilege that I've gained throughout my life, which I've never liked, but I still benefited from. I've been facing a lot of like doubt recently. I'm just stressing about not being feminine enough. A really common narrative is this idea of being a woman trapped in a man's body, right? Which I think is very appropriate for some people, but to think that every trans person feels that way is binding. Really ingrained social conventions are pretty much what gives trans folks like me anxiety. Like this whole idea that we have to live up to the certain image. What it means to transgress, what it means to transcend, what it means to be transgender is feeling more comfortable with the fluidity, feeling more comfortable with different manifestations of your gender. Having to dress a certain way for other people to read me as female is kind of frustrating. I am going to have to come to terms with being a masculine woman. I'm going to have to come to terms with being a trans presenting woman, ? One of the saddest things that happens in every community, including the trans community, is this whole policing of gender. Some trans women being like, girl, you ain't fish, or you don't look like a woman, so how can you call yourself a woman? It makes me wonder if this is something that's necessary, if this is something that I need to do to be read, understood, and feel like a woman. Today was a pretty interesting day. I worked really late, and on my walk home, I experienced something that I've never really experienced before, which was like intense dread, fear about getting to my car safely without harassment. That's not something I've ever really had to worry about. I think one of the biggest questions that are coming up is like this very deep problem of having to control everything. Navigating the world as male, as masculine, as a man has helped me with that, and I learned how to use my masculinity for power, for resources, for attention. I just met with Kawana for like my first legit therapy counseling session. It felt really good to have a lot of these narratives that I tell myself checked. Every time somebody says you're beautiful, every time someone says you're amazing, I'm like, girl, you don't know me, and I need to accept genuine compliments. This is the first crack, like, in a protective shell that I've kind of like built up around me. The struggles that women go through, and all the atrocities that trans women experience, and all the oppression that women of color face, it's just like, oh, I have this whole new layer of experiences that I haven't been normalized to, that I haven't grown up experiencing, that I haven't internalized, that I haven't gotten comfortable with yet. That anxiousness of like, what's next? And what's gonna happen that I haven't thought about. I just finished seeing Lady Gaga, and it was a really awesome experience. I went to the restroom, to the women's restroom. I think that's the first time I've used a bathroom in like a large public space. Like there's like a ton of women. And I don't know, I'm just afraid. I'm afraid for my safety, I'm afraid for my emotional health. But I was also really inspired by the community and the fact that like I'm a trans woman now. I'm really excited about femme solidarity, womanhood, and sisterhood. There's definitely a lot of fears that are coming up, but I think I'm most excited to be understood as and be able to connect with other women. So I'm currently on the way to get my first shot of estrogen. Pretty nervous, but I know that this is the right next step, so wish me luck.